Craig Berube just turned the Maple Leafs into a defensive powerhouse in one season. From playoff chokers to top-tier contenders, his radical change has shocked everyone. But can Toronto's new identity withstand the pressure of the postseason? This might be the year they finally break the curse. The numbers don't lie. Toronto now ranks in the top 10 in goals against per game. They boast the second-best 5-on-5 save percentage in the entire NHL at 92.6%. They're winning a staggering 73.3% of their one-goal games, the best in the league. This isn't the Maple Leafs team we've watched crash and burn in the playoffs for the past decade. Berube's approach was simple yet revolutionary for this Toronto team. Play heavy, straight-line hockey with relentless forechecking. Make opponents battle for every inch of ice. Force even the most skilled players to commit to defense first. This philosophy worked miracles when he took over the Saint Louis Blues mid-season in 2019, leading them to a Stanley Cup victory despite ranking just 12th in both special teams categories during that playoff run. What makes this transformation truly remarkable is who he's gotten to buy in. Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares, offensive superstars who have prioritized scoring their entire careers, are now committed to playing a defensive style that limits their offensive output. Their scoring numbers are down, but their winning percentage is up. This level of sacrifice from Toronto's core was unimaginable just 1 year ago. This group in Toronto are on their third coach, noted former QMJHL head coach John Goyens. To play the run and gun and outscore your problems is not going to work anymore. It always comes to a head in the playoffs, where they're not able to get over that hump. The Maple Leafs power play, once their greatest weapon, now ranks below the rebuilding Montreal Canadiens. Yet they continue to win games because they've adopted Berube's playoff-ready system. They're reducing odd-man rushes against. They're limiting high-danger scoring chances. They're winning battles along the boards that they would have abandoned in previous seasons. Goaltending has been the other key factor in Toronto's defensive renaissance. Anthony Stolarz has emerged as a legitimate NHL starter, posting a remarkable 12-3-1 record with a 2.14 goals against average and .924 save percentage since returning from injury on February 6th. During an 8-game stretch, he went undefeated with a microscopic 1.37 goals against average, .950 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. Joseph Woll has provided solid backup support with an 8-4-1 record, 2.86 GAA, and .909 save percentage. The defensive structure Berube implemented doesn't just help the goaltenders. It's transformed Mitch Marner into a legitimate Selke Trophy candidate as one of the NHL's best defensive forwards. This complete buy-in from Toronto Stars sets this season apart from previous disappointing campaigns. I believe they are different. TNT analyst and former NHL forward Eddie Olczyk stated unequivocally. When Craig Berube was hired back in the middle of the summer, he had lots of options. I felt they could make a run. I said back then I would be disappointed if they don't get to the conference final this year. The skeptics remain, of course. Toronto has built a reputation for regular season success, followed by playoff disappointment. They've lost in the first round in 7 of the past 8 seasons and have never advanced beyond the second round with their current core of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, and Reilly. Toronto has built a team that hasn't proven to have any success in the playoffs, ESPN analyst P.K. Subban pointed out. A first-round loss for them, even a second-round loss with the talent they have, is inexcusable. What separates this Maple Leafs team from previous iterations is their willingness to sacrifice offense for defensive structure. They've accumulated 52 wins and 108 points, 4th most in the league, while focusing on playoff-style hockey rather than regular season statistics. They've blocked 1,357 shots, top 5 in the NHL, and delivered 1,982 hits, top 10. The transformation is complete. The regular season success is secured. Now comes the real test, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Toronto faces their provincial rivals, the Ottawa Senators, in a first-round battle of Ontario that will determine if Berube's system holds up under playoff pressure. If the Maple Leafs can translate their newfound defensive identity to postseason success, Craig Berube won't just have changed a team. He'll have changed a franchise's entire legacy. The question isn't whether Toronto can score enough goals to win in the playoffs. It's whether they can maintain this defensive commitment when the pressure reaches its peak. After years of disappointment, Berube has given Maple Leafs fans something they haven't had in a long time: legitimate hope.
This might be the most dangerous version of the Leafs we've seen in 20 years. The Toronto Maple Leafs are entering the Stanley Cup playoffs with something they haven't had in years: legitimate momentum and belief. After securing the Atlantic Division title for the first time in a traditional 82-game season since 2000, this team suddenly looks dangerous and ready. Goaltending, often Toronto's greatest question mark, has transformed into their greatest strength. Anthony Stolarz has been sensational with 3 shutouts in his last 4 games, giving the Leafs the type of netminder who can steal a playoff series. Both of our goalies have played extremely well this year and given our team confidence night in and night out, said head coach Craig Berube, whose impact on the team's structure has been undeniable since taking over. Under Berube's leadership, Toronto has developed the great and defensive structure that was missing in previous playoff runs. They're no longer just an offensive juggernaut. They can win the ugly games that playoff hockey demands. The stars are peaking too. Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner both hit the 100-point milestone in the same season, with Matthews feeding Marner for his milestone and vice versa, showcasing the chemistry that makes them so dangerous. Now, the Battle of Ontario returns as Toronto faces Ottawa in the first round. The provincial rivalry that once defined Canadian hockey in the early 2000s gets a modern reboot. It's a good one for sure, Berube said about the matchup. That's a very good team over there. They play a gritty game. It'll be a tough series. The team's depth has improved dramatically, with Matthew Knies emerging as Berube's biggest surprise. The growth from training camp throughout the season, how he's grown as a player, I'm not sure I pictured that, Berube admitted. Even better news. Key defensemen Jake McCabe and Oliver Ekman-Larsson appear ready for Game 1. When asked about their status, Berube expressed confidence. I think they're all in pretty good shape, so I feel pretty good about it. Despite 7 straight first-round exits hanging over the franchise, there's something undeniably different about this year's approach. Berube refuses to even acknowledge the past disappointments, stating firmly, "I don't talk to them about it. It's in the past. I'm focused on going forward." That forward-looking mentality has created a quiet confidence around the team. Division champions, goal scorers, shutdown defenders, elite goaltending, and a coach who knows what it takes to win it all. The Battle of Ontario returns. Craig Berube's Atlantic Division champions are ready. The Stanley Cup journey begins now.
On the move, Tavares scores! A beauty for John Tavares! And the Leafs strike.
Incredible milestone night. John Tavares reaches 1,100 points as the Maple Leafs outlast the Rangers in thrilling Madison Square Garden showdown. Have you ever dreamed of joining the greatest players in hockey history? That's exactly what happened to John Tavares on Thursday night at one of the most famous arenas in the world, Madison Square Garden in New York City. The Toronto Maple Leafs captain had a night he'll never forget, scoring 2 goals and adding an assist to reach 1,100 points in his amazing NHL career. That's like scoring a goal or helping a teammate score in every single game for more than 13 years straight. When you reach a big number like 1,100 points, it means you've been playing at an incredibly high level for a very long time, said hockey expert Sam Johnson. Only the very best players ever reach that mark. The Maple Leafs needed every bit of Tavares' magic too, as they battled to a nail-biting 4-3 victory over the New York Rangers. The win was Toronto's 3rd in a row, helping them keep pace in the super tight Atlantic Division race. The action started in the first period when Tavares gave Toronto an early lead, racing down the the ice on a rush. He fired a perfect one-timer from the left face-off circle that zoomed past Rangers goalie Igor Shesterkin. Jake McCabe made the perfect pass, while William Nylander started the play and earned his 600th NHL assist. But the Rangers weren't going to just roll over. With less than a minute left in the first period, Will Borgen tied the game 1-1 with a shot that somehow snuck through Maple Leafs goalie Anthony Stolarz. Just when it looked like the period would end tied, Bobby McMahon tipped in a shot from McCabe with only 10 seconds left. The Maple Leafs took a 2-1 lead to the locker room, and the Rangers fans couldn't believe it. Getting a goal in the final seconds of a period is like finding an extra present on Christmas morning, explained former player Mike Wilson. It gives your team a huge boost of energy and excitement. The Rangers came out flying in the second period. Their superstar Artemi Panarin, known as the Breadman because his last name sounds like Panera, a type of bread, tied the game just 1:22 into the period. He grabbed a rebound and fired it home, making it 2-2 and sending the New York crowd into a frenzy. But this was Tavares' night to shine. Just a few minutes later, he scored his second goal of the game and the 1,100th point of his career. Standing in the right circle, he pounced on a rebound from another McCabe shot and buried it behind Shesterkin. The Maple Leafs bench erupted in celebration, knowing their captain had just joined an exclusive club of only 8 active NHL players with 1,100 or more points. I remember watching John Tavares when I was a kid, said teammate Matthew Nays, and now I'm on the ice when he reaches this amazing milestone. It's something I'll tell my kids about someday. Nees would have more to tell those future kids because he scored Toronto's 4th goal midway through the second period. After Rangers defenders Andre Miller and Adam Fox couldn't connect on a simple pass, Nylander snatched the puck, circled behind the net, and found Nees wide open. He fired it into the net, giving Toronto a 4-2 lead. The Rangers weren't done fighting though. With just 35 seconds left in the game, Chris Kreider tipped in a shot from Panarin to make it 4-3. The Garden was rocking as the Rangers desperately tried to tie the game, but Anthony Stolarz and the Maple Leafs held strong. When the final buzzer sounded, Toronto had earned a huge road win and their 3rd straight victory. The Rangers, meanwhile, lost their 3rd game in a row and remain outside the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. This is how playoff hockey feels, said Maple Leafs coach Craig Berube. Every shift matters. Every play can change the game. I'm proud of how our guys battled tonight. For Tavares, the milestone was sweet, but the win was even better. Individual achievements are nice, but winning as a team is what really matters, he said with a smile. We're playing good hockey at the right time of year. As for the Rangers, they'll need to turn things around quickly if they want to make the playoffs. We showed we can play with one of the best teams in the league, said Rangers captain Jacob Trouba. But we need to start turning these close games into wins. So remember kids, no matter if you're just starting to play hockey or dreaming of the NHL, with enough hard work and dedication, maybe someday you'll join John Tavares in the 1,100 point club.
Gloves are off. This is reminiscent of the old days.
The big boys have come to play.
McDavid!
Remember the Winnipeg Jets from a couple months ago? The team that was the toast of the NHL, sitting on top of the standings looking like an unstoppable force with the best goaltender in the league? Yeah, that same team just got steamrolled in the first round of the playoffs by the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games. Not exactly the storybook-ending Jets fans were hoping for after one of the most dominant regular seasons in franchise history. So what the hell happened? How does a team go from potentially winning the President's Trophy to getting bounced in the first round? Let's take a deeper look at the collapse of the Winnipeg Jets and try to make sense of this playoff disaster. First, let's remember just how good this Jets team was in the regular season. At the All-Star break, Winnipeg was 32-9-5, good for 69 points in just 46 games. They were on pace for 123 points, which would have been the best in franchise history by a country mile. Connor Hellebuyck was putting up video game numbers with a .925 save percentage and multiple shutouts. This team looked like they were built for a deep playoff run. The defense was suffocating, the offense was clicking, and the special teams were humming. Remember that power play? It was a thing of beauty, with Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele running that near-perfect 1-3-1 formation, shifting positions to create those cross-ice one-timers that goalies had no chance on. The penalty kill was just as good, with players willing to sacrifice their bodies to block shots and keep Hellebuyck's workload manageable. And that's what made this team so damn impressive. They didn't rely solely on Hellebuyck to win games. They had that balanced attack with Gabriel Velarde emerging as a legitimate top 6 forward. The young guys like Cole Perfetti were taking the next step, and vets like Adam Lowry were playing the best hockey of their careers. But if we're being honest with ourselves, there were warning signs heading into the playoffs. After that blistering first half, the Jets went 19-16-3 the rest of the way. That's essentially a .500 hockey team, which isn't going to scare anybody in the playoffs. The offense, which looked so dynamic early in the season, dried up. In their final 20 regular season games, the Jets averaged just 2.65 goals per game, which would rank 25th in the league over a full season. Players who were carrying the mail earlier in the year disappeared. Kyle Connor's shooting percentage plummeted. Ehlers cooled off. Suddenly, those creative zone entries that had penalty killers spinning weren't working anymore. Defensively, the team was still solid. Dylan DeMello and Josh Morrissey were still playing at a high level, but the depth pieces started showing cracks. Teams were finding ways to expose the more defensively challenged blue liners like Neil Pionk in ways they weren't earlier in the season. And then there was the matter of their record against top teams, against Colorado, Dallas, and Vegas, the cream of the crop in the West. The Jets went a combined 4-8-1 in the regular season. Not exactly inspiring confidence for a potential playoff matchup. When the playoffs rolled around, we all wondered which Jets team would show up, the world beaters from the first half or the mediocre squad from the second half. Unfortunately for Winnipeg fans, it was the latter. Game 1 gave false hope. The Jets came out flying, won 7-6 in a wild back-and-forth affair that had Rick Bowness looking like he was about to have a heart attack on the bench. But even in victory, the warning signs were there. Hellebuyck giving up 6 goals? That's not the recipe for playoff success. Then the wheels fell off. 4 straight losses, each more depressing than the last. The Avalanche exposed every weakness the Jets had and created some new ones along the way. First, they absolutely neutralized Winnipeg's forecheck. Remember that aggressive F1 and F2 pressure that created so many turnovers in the regular season? Colorado's mobile defensemen made that look like a pee-wee strategy. Cale Makar and Devin Toews were breaking the puck out with ease, making the Jets forwards look like they were skating in quicksand. Then there was the matter of the special teams. That once lethal Jets power play went an abysmal 2 for 18 in the series. A success rate of 11.1% isn't going to cut it in the playoffs.
This is the final countdown. Top contender in serious trouble. Tampa Bay's $7 million star out for first round. Vancouver's elite goalie shut down. And desperate teams making final push with everything on the line. The shocking developments that could change everything. The NHL regular season is down to its final days, and the playoff picture is taking dramatic shape with several teams receiving critical updates on injured stars, while others battle for crucial postseason positioning. In Tampa Bay, the Lightning received devastating news about trade deadline acquisition. Oliver Bjorkstrand, the skilled forward, is week to week with a lower body injury and unlikely to be available for the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Bjorkstrand has been a significant contributor with 4 goals and 5 assists in 18 games since joining Tampa Bay from Seattle. It's tough because he's really grown into his role with us, Lightning coach John Cooper said. Hopefully we'll have him back for the playoffs at some point. The timing couldn't be worse for Tampa Bay, who currently sits second in the Atlantic Division with 100 points. They're tied with the Florida Panthers but hold the tiebreaker with more regulation wins, 40-37. The Lightning can clinch home ice advantage in the first round if the Panthers lose to the New York Rangers in regulation on Tuesday. In Vancouver, the Canucks received their own injury setback as goaltender Thatcher Demko has been ruled out for the remainder of the regular season due to illness. While Vancouver has already been eliminated from playoff contention, this caps a frustrating season for the former Vezina Trophy finalist. He's feeling okay, but he's not feeling that great. I'm not going to throw him in, Canucks coach Rick Tachi explained. There's 2 games left. There's no reason to. Demko's season has been plagued by injuries, including missing the first 24 games while recovering from knee surgery. The 29-year-old finished with a 10-8-3 record, an .889 save percentage, and a 2.90 goals against average in just 23 appearances. The Canucks also lost defenseman Derek Forbort, who suffered a fractured orbital bone in a fight with Minnesota's Yakov Trenin on Saturday. Forbort, who can become an unrestricted free agent on July 1st, will miss Vancouver's final 2 games of the season. Out west, the Calgary Flames continue their improbable push for a playoff spot. Despite being written off by many analysts, the Flames are 4-0-2 in their past 6 games and trail the St. Louis Blues by just 2 points for the second wildcard position in the Western Conference. Calgary bolstered their organization Monday by signing Carter King to a 1-year, 2-way contract. The 23-year-old forward and Calgary native served as captain for the University of Denver this season, posting 43 points in 44 games while leading his team to the NCAA Frozen Four. The Flames host the Vegas Golden Knights on Tuesday night in what has become a must-win game for their playoff hopes. With just 3 games remaining in their season, Calgary needs to be nearly perfect while hoping for the Blues to stumble. In Edmonton, the Oilers are making a late push for better playoff positioning. Currently sitting 3rd in the Pacific Division with 99 points, they trail the Los Angeles Kings by just 2 points, with a crucial head-to-head matchup scheduled for Tuesday night. A regulation win would pull Edmonton even with Los Angeles, setting up a dramatic finish for second place in the division and home ice advantage in what would likely be a first-round matchup between these 2 teams. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Conference, the Montreal Canadiens could clinch their playoff berth with a victory against the Chicago Blackhawks. Montreal has been one of the season's biggest surprises, led by rookie defenseman Lane Hutson, who leads all NHL first-year players with an astonishing 64 points in 80 games. As teams prepare for the postseason, health becomes increasingly critical. Philip Chytil skated in a non-contact jersey Sunday for the first time since sustaining a concussion on March 15th, but the forward won't return this season. With the playoffs set to begin next week, teams are making final adjustments to their lineups while medical staffs work overtime to get injured players ready for the most intense hockey of the year. For fans across North America, the final days of the regular season promise high-stakes drama as playoff seeding, home ice advantage, and the final wildcard spots hang in the balance. Every point matters now, and the pressure has never been higher as the chase for the Stanley Cup begins in earnest.